Here is the recap of the first season of Agatha All Along. Before watching this recap, I advise you to watch the series WandaVision, or its recap, which I have on my channel. The link is in the description under this video. 3 years after the events of the WandaVision series, Agatha is still under the influence of Wanda's spell. The former witch is deprived of all her powers and thinks she is a detective. But in fact, everyone around her is playing along so that there will be less problems. One day she takes on the murder of an unknown woman. Agatha investigates with an FBI agent named Rio, who clearly realizes that Agatha is trapped in an illusion. Upon returning home, the witch catches a thief in her apartment who tried to steal an antique brooch from her. Agatha begins to interrogate the teenager, but he casts a spell and she feels that something is wrong with her reality. Eventually, it turns out that the body of the deceased belongs to Wanda Maximoff, and then the spell is completely lifted from Agatha. But her powers still haven't returned. Soon Rio appears and wants to kill the witch, but she convinces the woman to spare her. Before leaving, Rio informs her that Agatha is being hunted by the Salem 7, powerful witches who have a grudge against her. Agatha is trying to figure out what to do next and remembers the guy who tried to steal her brooch. It turns out he is still in her closet. For some unknown reason, Agatha can't hear his name, as there is some kind of seal on him. The guy tells her that he used a spell to free Agatha from the Wanda's enchantment, and all in order to get to the Witch's Road, where Agatha can take him. If you pass this road, then a person will get what he most desires. Agatha also needs to pass this way, as she has lost her powers. However, a whole coven is needed to open the portal. That is why the main characters go in search of witches. The first turns out to be a fortune teller named Lilia, who doesn't know how to control her abilities. The second, a potions expert named Jen, who had her powers stolen from her 100 years ago. And the third, a witch protector named Alice with an ancestral curse. Each of them knows of Agatha's reputation and is in no hurry to join her, but they all want to get to the Witch's Road one way or another. And since Agatha is rumored to have already been there, the chances of getting back from there in one piece are pretty good. When they get together at Agatha's house, it turns out that they're missing a green witch. She was supposed to be Rio, but Agatha refuses to call her, so reluctantly calls her neighbor Sharon, who has heard nothing about magic at all. However, that's enough. At this time, the Salem 7 appear on the doorstep and try to break into the building. Meanwhile, the witches cast spells to open the portal, but nothing happens. Agatha starts to provoke the others, saying they are worthless witches, as she suddenly sees a portal under her feet. After that, the main characters go down into it. Coven finds themselves in a magical world, and we learn that they must now pass several tests of different branches of sorcery. They enter the first house where they drink wine that has been poisoned. Now they need to create an antidote in no time. As the characters search for the ingredients for the potion, we learn about each of the witches' pasts. Of note, Jen informs Teen that Agatha is rumored to have traded her child for the forbidden book Darkhold, and Lily occasionally utters various phrases that mean nothing at first glance, but will be important by the end of the season. Eventually, the coven manages to prepare an antidote and escape from the house, which is sinking underwater. When they get out, it turns out the main characters didn't have time to save the Green Witch Sharon. The women realize that they need a replacement for the next challenge and summon Rio, who behaves very strangely and provocatively. The second challenge is set in the style of the 70s. While the characters are trying to figure out what to do, Rio suggests Agatha to betray her coven and kill all the witches. This is heard by the others, thanks to the microphone on, and a scuffle ensues. Suddenly, Teen notices a record labeled Play Me. Launching it, they unleash a demon, which is an old curse on Alice's family. Coven has to perform a song that can exorcise this demon. During the challenge, Teen is injured and Agatha begs the other witches to help. Jen creates a potion that heals the boy's wound. A little later, Rio informs Agatha that Teen is not her son. Suddenly, the coven is attacked by the Salem Seven, who have somehow snuck onto the Witch's Road. The main characters create flying brooms and escape from their pursuers. They then enter the third challenge, which takes the form of a cabin with an 80s aesthetic. The coven needs to contact a ghost using the Ouija board. The ghost turns out to be Agatha's mother, whom she murdered in 1693, along with the entire coven. It turns out the children of that coven are the Salem Seven, intent on revenge against their mother's killer. The ghost warns the main characters that Agatha is not to be trusted and wants to kill her daughter, but she is stopped by Alice. Suddenly, however, Agatha steals Alice's powers and Alice dies. Let me remind you that Agatha's only remaining talent is the ability to steal other people's powers. The main characters quickly leave the scene of the challenge. Agatha claims that she killed Alice by accident, but Teen doesn't believe her. A crown appears on his head, just like Wanda Maximoff's in her time. The boy uses powerful magic and throws the witches off the road, which was forbidden to do. After which the women drown in the mud. We are shown the past of Teen, who turns out to be named William. 3 years ago, he lived in the next town over from Westview. One day at a party, he met a fortune teller named Lilia, who saw his future. Then she put the same seal on him and erased it from her memory. Soon Wanda sealed Westview, and when she breaks the spell, the car with Teen's family is involved in an accident. The boy regains consciousness, but remembers nothing. Time passes, but the memories don't come back. Teen realizes that all of this has something to do with Wanda, and also he is not left with the feeling that he has lost someone. On top of that, he notices that he can read minds. Soon Teen and his friend arrange a meeting with a man who is willing to share information about what happened at Westview. This person turns out to be Ralph, who Agatha had kept under control in the WandaVision series. He reveals that the Scarlet Witch had 2 sons, Tommy and Billy, who disappeared after Wanda's spell was broken. Teen realizes that William died in that car accident and Billy's soul moved into this body. So you could say he is the reincarnation of Wanda's son. And the person he lost is his brother Tommy. The only way to get him back is to go the Witch's Road, and for that he needs to find Agatha, which he later does. Back in the present day, Agatha crawls out of the mud and meets a now calm Billy. It turns out that the witch has long ago guessed who he really is, and the seal is finally broken from him. The boy wants to go on the road alone, but Agatha notices that he can't control his powers, so the two of them go to the next challenge. It involves reading the tarot cards correctly, or they will be impaled by swords hanging from the ceiling. Meanwhile, Lilia and Jen find themselves underground. The fortune teller realizes that her life is about to end, and throughout the episode she is flipped to different times. Now we understand why she's been shouting different phrases throughout the season. Eventually they get to Agatha and Billy. Lilia reads the cards correctly, and we finally learn that Rio is the personification of death itself. The other main characters leave the scene of the challenge, and Lilia sacrifices herself to stop the Salem Seven. Agatha meets Rio in secret from Jen and Billy. It turns out that Death cannot kill the guy herself and asks Agatha to do it for her, and in return she will prolong her life for many centuries. Soon the trio continues their journey down the Witch's Road and find themselves at the final test. Jen learns that it was Agatha who stole her powers 100 years ago, and after she breaks the seal, Jen disappears. Billy doesn't understand what happened, and Agatha explains that Jen got what she wanted from the Witch's Road and then automatically left it. Now it's Billy's turn. His wish is to find his brother. Agatha suggests that Billy find Tommy's soul himself and place it in the body of a random teenager dying at that moment, which he does. After that, Billy disappears from the road. Agatha is left alone. She passes the final test and goes out into the real world, but for some reason her powers are not restored. Rio is going to take the witch's soul since she broke the pact. That's when Billy shows up and shares some of his powers with Agatha. But they can't defeat death, so Agatha sacrifices herself to keep the teenager alive. Back home, Billy notices objects in his room that are very similar to the trials of the Witch's Road, and the road itself. The boy realizes that he created it with his own powers, and no road really existed. We're transported to the year 1750. Agatha is due to give birth to her child, but Rio shows up to get him. The witch begs Death to give her more time with her son, and she agrees. A few years pass and Agatha, along with Nicholas, is busy trapping different witches and feeding on their powers. But after a while, her son dies. The song about the Witch's Road, which Nicholas was always humming, becomes very popular, and sorceresses from all over the world try to find this road. Agatha takes advantage of that. Then she traps unsuspecting witches in the exact same way. Roughly speaking, she lies to them that she needs to gather a coven to open the gate. They cast a spell together, but nothing comes out. Then Agatha provokes them, and they attack her, after which the villain sucks their powers. She plans to do the same to Jen, Lily, and Alice. But suddenly a real portal appears and Agatha realizes who the teenager really is. Nowadays, Billy is shocked that he's the one who created the Witch's Road. Agatha's ghost shows up and confirms his hunch. The guy is stunned because the whole coven died because of him, but Agatha calms him down. Jen survived, and even regained her powers. Billy goes to the basement, where the beginning of the Witch's Road is located, and closes the portal. And in its place, he sets up a memorial with the names of the dead women. After that, together with Agatha's ghost, he is going to find his resurrected brother. This is the end of the first season. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.